Real quick question, he had asked me, are you considered, like, are you a tenor voice, I guess? Or?
Lyric tenor, yeah. A high lyric tenor.
Yeah, I was going to say, which is the highest, I guess? Or?
Yeah, well, you have dramatic tenors, lyric tenors, held in tenors, and there's a couple different types of tenors. They just have different strengths in their voice. So dramatic tenors have a very strong middle voice. They almost sound like a baritone at times, where they have a very strong chest voice, and a very strong head voice, but their upper voice is very, it takes them a lot of work to get up to their head voice, because it takes a lot of breath, and a lot of times the notes aren't there. They had to find out how to get them. Lyric tenors are usually, it's a very lighter sound, it's a much lighter sound, it's a much more, I guess, more resonant sound. It's a very higher set voice. So I mean, there are two dramatic tenors in my studio, and they have a lot of trouble getting, trouble going flat around G and A. I can go up to a D without any problems on any given occasion.
Yeah, it was saying that you're
D sharp.
Yeah.
It just depends on where your voice lies.
Okay.
I mean, lyric is just a lighter, higher, like just a higher set voice.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm a high lyric.
Yeah, a high lyric.
High lyric.
High lyric.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because somebody asked and was like, okay, I wasn't.
Yep.
High lyric.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, it can also determine what repertoire you do. So I'll do a lot of, I'll probably, when I eventually perform, I'll probably end up doing a lot of Mozart.
Oh.
A lot of lighter things that call for that type of voice, because a lot of operas, they call for the roles are for certain voice types. They're not for just any tenor. Many tenors have sang, many big tenors who bigger names have come out and sang all of the many roles, but most of the time your voice is just like for baritone. Certain baritone voices are set for certain roles, and they'll sing those over and over again. Yeah, because they'll get jobs doing that, because that's what they want to pay people to do.
Yeah.
So that's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's pretty.
But it's fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
But you just need to find out how to bridge that gap.
I know.
So I mean, you're on the path to getting there. You know,
I guess.
It's a long path, but.
Well, yeah, very long.
As long as you don't give up on it, you'll be fine.
Yeah, well, I got a setback tonight, but
it happens. It happens.
Yeah, because some of the stuff you were teaching me, he said that I guess he wasn't taught by his instructors, and he wanted to once, I think, in New York.
Yeah.
I think with some of the voice stuff you're teaching me.
Yeah, heard those.
Yeah, he was like shocked. He was like, "Wait a minute." He rewound it a couple times on the computer. Yeah. Like it's like, "Wait a minute." I was never. I think
was he doing music theater singing?
I think he just wanted to like do pop music kind of
I
thing.
know when I was pop music is a little different. Pop music is it's more in the mask. So it's more like nasalized.
Yeah.
Because when you're taught classically, there's nothing wrong with being taught classically, but because the classical technique can help you with everything else.
I was gonna say, I think so, yeah.
But for example, like when I was, they keep it very and because they sing, they don't think about the vowels when the modification of the vowels to get higher. They have a set range, and they usually, sing through that range.
So if you're gonna sing like regular, not regular, but I mean pop or
rock or jazz.
That's
it's
all.
More of a stylistic, and it's a little bit more, I guess, nasalized.
Okay.
That's why classical singers kind of look down on it, because that sound of it being nasalized is a little bit. It's nice to listen to. Yeah. But it's shallow sounding. When you don't keep your throat open, you don't get that fullness and richness and the color. I guess you wouldn't get with a pop type voice. Well,
a pop voice, how high does that go on though?
You can go higher, but what happens is, for example, they spread. So this is just like music theater majors. They sing. It is higher, yeah. And it gets a little bit like a
voice,
yelly, where and it gets very in the nose.
Yeah.
Whereas for classical singers, you have to make the sound thinner and thinner as you go up, so that you don't strain the vocal cords. So as you go higher, as you go higher, you have to find out how to maneuver around it rather than on the air. Classical singers also sing on the air, which is a bit different. Pop singers don't always sing on the air. Not that they don't, but they're less inclined to sing on the air because they're singing the way they speak, and that's why.
I was gonna say, yeah.
That's the reason why classical singers don't sing the way they speak is because the way we speak makes us hoarse. The way we speak is the reason why we get colds. The reason why because we close our vowels. We tense the back of the throat when we speak rather than keeping it open and keeping the air and speaking on our breath at all times. If we were to speak on our breath at all times, we wouldn't have sore throats and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, now if I want to learn how to sing pop or rock, I mean, this is still
that's really wrong. Yeah, it's still good, but it's the same technique. I mean, pop and rock singers have to. That's probably what your friend he had a problem with. Is
yeah,
you can belt up to G, you can belt up to C, but it'll get more and more
difficult,
yelly. And it'll sound shallow and yelly. If there are ways of singing, flipping over to your head voice and singing pop, and that actually is much more pleasant to listen to because you have more control over the sound rather than trying to muscle up.
Well,
so
that's I think we both probably do.
It's the natural way. It's the natural way that people think that they have to sing. But when you learn that, well, once your voice gets to a certain point, you're not going to get any higher unless you change something.
Yeah.
And then there are singers that say basses can sing tenor notes, and that's I guess could be true to some point. They just need to know how. Everyone has the range, a bigger range than they really think they do. But the strength, everybody has strengths in different parts of their voice. So
actually, I'm thinking of when you said that, you like combining the two. There was one band, I think it was Everessence.
Yeah.
She was more of an opera singer, and the rest of those guys were rock.
Yeah, she used both parts of her voice.
Yeah.
She was straight toned, so instead of letting the vibrato, she was straight toned, and so it almost seemed like it was part of her chest voice. It almost seemed like she wasn't going into that heady voice. She didn't keep the space behind it, but she did let it flip over, which is why she probably still sings today.
Oh, okay, but I mean, because she was doing like a little bit of both in the music.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a lot of women can do that. They dramatic or mezzos, mezzo sopranos can also often do that. Altos can do that because they have a very strong. Mezzos have a very strong middle of their voice, which to us would be our chest voice. Their chest voice can be taken up for a baritone. Baritones sing in the same register that they speak almost all the time. So when they sing, in the tenors around where the tenor would sing in their part, it's for a tenor it would sound very weak, but for a baritone it sounds very strong. Mezzos have that strength behind it, so sopranos try and imitate that, but they can't because they don't have the strength. So they end up belting, and it ends up hurting them. Mezzos they can belt like that, and they can also turn over if they want to, because they have that range.
Yeah.
So.
That's interesting.
It's interesting the way it works out, but
a lot of music theory behind.
Yeah, it's a lot. Just
a lot.
The technical aspects of everything. They're different for every person.
Yeah, yeah. And once again, you are a what did you say it was called again?
I'm a lyric tenor.
A lyric.
Yes, high lyric tenor.
High lyric tenor. Because you're like up on that side of the keyboard, I guess.
Yeah, I'm up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm comfortable I'm much more, and it's also about your comfortability. Baritones and basses would not be comfortable singing. Their high notes are my middle range.
I was going to say, yeah.
Tenors are more comfortable oftentimes singing up there than any of the other voice parts, which is why they are tenors, because they work to strengthen that part of their voice.
Oh.
Baritones work to strengthen the low. Basses work to strengthen the low part of their voice. Baritones like to work the middle of their voice. So everybody has a different part of the voice that they have their strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, you just gotta feel it out. And see what works for.
Yeah. It's all different.
Yeah.
So, you're going along. So
well,
you gotta keep the breath going. So it's all on breath, and I didn't really listen to that until a couple months ago, and it definitely helps. Stay on your breath.
So yeah,
it'll help to keep the voice moving.
Yeah, that's cool. You were helping me and a
So-
friend last night. We were up for like 2-3 hours. He was going back and forth on certain stuff you said.
Yeah, it's about the
getting air moving. When you
yeah.
get higher, you said you got to keep it moving or something.
when you get higher, you move faster.
That's he was asking about that almost.
Well, because when you get to those notes, you have to keep the space.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you don't have the air moving quicker, blowing more air out, then the space that your throat says, you know, I need to do something, and tries to close up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what happens a lot. I mean, until the people that can sing up there with less breath, it usually sounds a little bit strained, something's going on. Once you've been singing for a while, it usually doesn't really. You kind of get used to how much breath you have to use. But the higher you get and the more tired you get,
Yeah.
the more breath you need to put out so that you can, the air can take you up to those notes. Because it's not like reaching for the notes. It's like the air has to blow you all the way up to those notes and then has to take you back down. It's not like you're making the notes without anything else.
Well,
it's like when you like a wind instrument.
Yeah.
When you play flute, or when you play a horn or a trumpet. When you blow into it, the higher the note is, you have to blow more air into it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the exact same thing. We're considered wind instruments.
Well, how do you get the air in without closing your throat? Get more.
You have to tap into that feeling of a yawn, and you have to keep that feeling the entire time, and you have to manage your air so that you initially use your air and it keeps going, and when it runs out, you take another breath. So if I'm going up to, if my top note in a song is a G, and I'm starting here, I don't want to use all my air before I get to G. You have to manage it. Whatever the note is, you have to keep the air moving towards.
But are you taking air in at any point? No.
Nope.
You're just keeping whatever air you have.
Yeah, it's just I've learned how to keep my
control
all the air, but not hold it. You never. That's why I said just blow all your air out and use all the air you have, because unless you get used to using all the air you have and you start trying to control it too soon, and then you're actually hurting yourself by not using any air.
Oh.
So you don't want to just try and control it. At first, just let the air go. Like with these exercises, just let the air go and blow it all out. Because you have enough air.
Hold it.
Because you don't want to hold any air in. As if you push yourself to keep the air moving, then eventually it'll force itself to expand your rib cage and make more air. But it doesn't happen from holding your air in and just trying to manage it, because your capacity to hold air, you get more and more capacity, more and more as you keep singing. You sing more and more, and you force yourself to take breaths. So if I have something that goes and holds a note for however many counts, you have to force yourself. I couldn't do that until I forced myself. Okay, let's see how far I get. And then I blow all my air on until I get as far as I can, and then I have to try and go a little farther next time. You can't try and hold yourself short to see if you can get there. You have to just keep blowing the air out, and when it's gone, it's gone. And then you take more in, try and take more in each time. Your rib cage, after weeks, will start expanding.
But you didn't stop at any point, though.
Nope.
I guess. Okay.
Nope, you don't stop at all. You keep the air moving the whole time.
And you get some more air in without losing
your air. You just basically blowing all your air out. Yeah.
Oh, so that whole note was with whatever air you had.
Yeah, it was wherever I had air in my lungs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can go.
You can go much longer. Yeah. It's just depending on how much you use. But you have to. It's almost when you use more air, you're actually doing yourself more good than not using much air.
Oh.
So. But. It's a lot to take in, but once you get it, it's like little things that I think about now. I'm like, it doesn't really affect. I don't even think about it. But you just at first they're really big things, and you finally get them into your body, and it's not like anything.
Well, it's like exercise and any other exercise.
It takes a little time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
And I was gonna say like any other muscle, like your lungs are.
Yeah.
Kind of harder.
They kind of they're always, when you're singing, they're always working.
Yeah. That's true.
But He'd be fun.
Yeah.
Keep working, keep listening to DVDs.
Oh yeah.
Even
Did
though
it this time.